when we get into business, it's always can we do this? How can we do more? How can we execute on this? How can we do that? When you change that word how to who can do that, the game allows you to multiply at a much faster rate. So the baby boy, who's now 7 months, is now scooting around. He's getting into things. He's shaking things up, and it's livening up the family again. Before it was like, newborn status. So everything was just like bottles and naps. But now we're getting into stuff. So wake up. So this past week, we had a big project that we were going after down in Jacksonville, Florida. And this project was a hub zone project. So that means that you got to have like a office location in a hub zone. And then you also have to employ hub zone people. And it's just like one of those designations that allows you to go after like government contracts. So we have a hub zone designation, and we were like one of the front runners to win this award. And once they awarded this project, someone that didn't win this award protested all of the people that had won the award. So now all of a sudden, we're in this situation where we have all this stuff going on. We get basically a request from the SBA telling us to validate all this information, and there's no time in my calendar, and no one else on the team really is familiar with what needs to be done. So it's like, do I sit here and just totally put everything that's already on my calendar to the wayside and just totally focus on this? Or do I change the way I've done things for a long time, and instead of just saying, how do I do this, I say, who can do this? And immediately once I did that, I went to Google, and Google's our friend, right? When you're trying to figure out who. And I came across, this law firm that specifically specializes in hub zone protest responses. And it was like amazing to work with them. And the reason why it was amazing to work with them is because, yes, I still had to give them the information. I still had to provide the documentation. I still had to bring them up to speed on what was going on in my current situation. But once I did that, they were able to run with it and create a response basically that was way better than anything that I could have ever created. And that experience right there really just rocked me again to the core. And I know this. I experienced it already with adding new team members and stuff, but it's just like it just reinforces that it's not how can I do this, it's who can I do it, who can do it, who can I bring on the team, who can I work with to execute on the things that honestly bog down the organization or basically don't move the organization in a way that is going to take care of the organization right here, right now. Like, yes, that is important for us to respond to that hub zone. But like, if we don't keep pushing on getting jobs done and getting new projects in here, like there's nothing even to talk about with this hub zone protest. So we gotta stay in the forefront, but also have people that are executing on things that and responses that come up. So that law office that was able to come in and assist, and that we were able to delegate that work to, was amazing. And when I started like digging deeper into that whole concept of like delegation, and for me, the reason why I always struggle with delegation is because when I think about how to do it, I'm like, it's probably easier for me to just go ahead and just try to do this thing than to go and find somebody, bring them up to speed on what needs to be done, walk through everything with them, all these things, right? And all of those things are true, and they do. There is definitely a time commitment so that you don't abdicate something to someone. And abdicating is just giving something to someone. They have no clear direction, and then you're wondering why at the end of this thing it wasn't a success. So you do have to onboard someone and bring them up to speed with the situation. And oftentimes the way I would feel is that it would just be easier just to do it myself. And because I felt like it was easier, and the way the mind works is it wants to do the easiest thing, I would always just do the work. Instead, I gotta build my muscle so that it's easier for me to find, attract, and align new team members, whether they're on my payroll or they're consultants, to the team, so that we can get things done faster and we can expand and do more things at the same time. Because now all of a sudden we responded to that letter while we were also putting out other proposals, while we're also executing on projects. Now that gives the organization way more capacity than if it was just me trying to figure out how to do it. So we gotta rewire our brains to say that it's not easier to just go ahead and do it ourselves. It's actually easier, and the product that we present at the end of the day is going to be much better when we have someone that's fully dedicated to this thing, and they can really get it to the finish line and produce a great quality product. And that's like who, and the main core concept of that is who can do it. And once you find out who can do it, it changes the game. And then as I was thinking through the protest that we were going through, I was thinking through other situations in the organization that I'm dealing with. So like this past year, we went through one of the toughest times in the organization since when we first started. We had a job and we lost over $500,000 in this project, and it was so painful. And I was thinking about it the other day. I'm sitting there like I had to bring all of everything that I had to this situation, because we were this close from getting thrown off that job because of all the things that had happened there that were just not good. And I had to devote 100% of my time to that. But at the same time, like we were saying before, we have to still get new projects. So the person who in our organization that was going out and continuing to estimate projects was a game changer for us, because now that we got through that point in the organization that was really difficult, now we have projects that are profitable to continue to pull us forward. Because before it was like, all right, full bore on getting the company out of this mess, and there's no one focusing on getting new projects. That's not a good situation to be in. Whereas the way we set up the organization now, we have we have our estimator. Her name is Victoria, and she kept throwing the rock while I was fighting off all of the situations and trials and tribulations that we were going through on that really difficult project. And she kept throwing the rock, and we started getting all these like little projects, and now we've gotten through that difficult time in the organization, and now we have all these projects that are really going to be extremely profitable for the organization, because we were throwing the rock while we were also blocking and tackling and getting things, getting the organization out of the hot water that it was in. So again, it just goes back to that principle of who can do it, not how can I do it. And immediately once you say who can do it, it's a question that expands. Whereas how can I do it is a question that constricts, because there's only 24 hours in a day. And yes, I can do a lot of things, but you can only do so many things in a 24-hour day, and then in 7 days in a week, and 365 days in a year. Whereas if you can multiply the successful actions through other team members and get that who can do it on your team, now all of a sudden the capacity of the organization is expanded tremendously. Tremendously. I mean, we're doing this exact same thing down in our flooring store up in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. That flooring store, there's things that I'm really good at, there's things that my partners are really good at, but there's things that we're not great at. So it's like, who can we bring into the organization that loves, documenting processes and creating those processes? Who can we bring into the organization that loves that stuff, that can now do that documentation for the organization, so now we can start duplicating more successful actions through more team members? And it became almost a necessity, because we're getting so big, up there. You know, we have 50 team members up there. We're getting bigger projects. We're getting more and more jobs, and things are starting to get crazy. And if we don't set up this thing where we're now duplicating a specific process that can get a successful result and documenting that and making sure that it's easily accessible for everyone on the team, we're going to be in trouble. And the reason we're going to be in trouble is because we're going to have all these team members in the organization that are just doing whatever, whether it's successful or not. And eventually it's going to catch up with us, and the unsuccessful actions that we're taking are going to hurt us. So we need someone in the organization to document the processes of successful actions and make it easily accessible for everyone in the organization. And that's what we did. We brought on a person that can document all those processes so that we can now duplicate successful actions and move the organization forward in a way where everybody's on the same page, instead of we have a top performer over here and then we have a non-top performer over here, and the non-top performer doesn't even know the high performing characteristics of why that person is getting those high performance results. And now what we can do is we can sit down and meet with that high performer, take all of the things that person is doing great, and now use that to train other team members. So now that high performer can now not only make me money, he can start making we money. Especially now, once we have that documented process, and he starts managing, or she starts managing other team members to also be high performers. So I'm just excited about that concept. Who, not how. It's been a game changer for me. It's allowed me to expand. It's allowed me to do more things. It's allowed me to create and build the life that I want. And that life is not me doing everything. I don't want to do everything. I want to be able to, one of my major goals this year, my top personal goal this year is to take a 1 week vacation and not answer an email and not pick up my phone. And for that to happen, I got to have other high performers in the organization that the organization trusts to make successful actions and take successful actions on behalf of the organization. And if we don't have those people, I can't take that 1 week vacation without no phone and no email. And my 5-year target is to take, or my 3-year target is to take 3 weeks, and my 5-year target is going to be to take 6 months. And the reason why I say 6 months is I'm going to work in there finding other opportunities for the business. How can we really dig deep into what we're currently doing and get even better? And then that's a 5-year target. So I don't even want to focus on that right now. I want to focus on getting this 1 week target, no phone, no email, off the ground. And the only way to do that is to find who in the organization can do it. Bring those high performers into the organization, so that all of a sudden we have the capacity in the organization to allow me to go take a 1 week vacation without phone and without email. That's how you go out there and build a legacy. Let's roll. Have a great day.